Good afternoon, Erica. Hi, how are you?
Hi, Annie. I'm doing great.
Good, good. Thank you so much for joining this virtual training. Yes, WASH is one of the actually very popular, very needed projects in Philippines. So I'm so glad that you joined me for this virtual live Q&A session. So thank you again, Erica.
It's a pleasure. It's an opportunity almost to be there as if in person. So
Yeah,
I'm excited to do this.
that's good. So I'm sure they know me. My name is Annie Shin. I'm the Regional Grants Officer, and I review grant applications from parts of Korea, Philippines, and then New Zealand. So Erica, could you actually tell me your name, your position, how long you've been with the Rotary, and even before what you did before you joined the Rotary?
Yeah, I would love to. My name is Erica Gwen. I am the Area Focus Manager for Water, Sanitation, and Hygiene for Rotary International. And my job right now is to serve as a technical advisor for Rotarians and for the organization for project design in water, sanitation, and hygiene. We also do assessments. So I help doing advising for assessments and reporting. And then I also am a program manager for what is our largest strategic partnership outside of polio, which is the RI-USAID Water and Sanitation Partnership. Before I came to Rotary, well, actually I've been to Rotary for 7 years now. And it's been quite the pleasure to interact with all the Rotarians out there and different water and sanitation projects. Before I came to Rotary, I actually worked in international development and research. My background is in aquatic toxicology. So my specialty is really looking at water quality and water supplies, especially that are tainted with heavy metals. In East Africa and Uganda and Mexico, I lived for a while looking and investigating on how to improve water sources and water supplies to communities, especially vulnerable communities like women or fishermen. And then worked in a lab as well for a period of time. So both lab and field experience was the best sort of background to be brought here to the foundation in order to serve everybody.
Wow, wow, you're a water expert.
Getting there, yes, thank you.
Good, good, yes. So actually, a lot of the districts and the clubs send me the questions. So I have a list of questions for you. Let me share my slide with you.
Great.
Erica, can you see me?
I can.
The slide? Yes.
Yes.
That's good. So yes, let's do this. So this is the virtual kind of Q&A and mini training for WASH, water, sanitation, and hygiene for Philippines. So question number one, some clubs would like to construct hand washing stations at the entrance of public markets and transportation terminals as a COVID project. Would this still be need a community needs assessment survey? What do you think?
That's a really great question. And I'm glad to see that Philippine clubs are thinking about water, sanitation, hygiene at the time of COVID-19 pandemic. Because as you know, this is a really important way for us to stop the transmission of COVID-19. One thing that we need to remember, however, is that global grants are in place to ensure long-term sustainability and ultimate impact for the people that we're trying to serve. So when we're doing COVID-19 response projects, such as, for example, putting quick hand washing stations in public places, such as this project, we don't want something that's going to present or construct any sort of infrastructure that isn't going to be supported and maintained for the long haul. So the one thing that we need to think about this type of grant is it going to be part of a comprehensive strategy for water and sanitation? And when I say comprehensive, that means instead of just hand washing stations, is there a reliable water supply already at these points? This is really important because if there's not a reliable water supply, or if there's a limited water supply or an unsafe water supply, we're really putting additional infrastructure that's not going to be functional in the long term because the basic resource, safe water, isn't going to be available. So we really need Rotarians before throwing up hand washing stations, even if they are going to be relying on, let's say, tanker trucks. We need to really do a nice investigation of those public spaces about what their assets and what their needs are. The other thing we need to really make sure that is in place is that we have a good hygiene programming that is aligned with COVID-19 messaging that's going on. So the way to do that is make sure that you're connecting and presenting this idea with the local government officials of health, and making sure that the messages that they're putting out there about hand washing and COVID-19 are going to be the same ones that you're putting out there as Rotarians to the public. So that's just something to keep in mind. Just the good thing to remember is that you always need to provide evidence that safe water supplies are consistently available and safe with hand washing stations. Hand washing stations alone, we normally do not fund, but in conjunction with a safe water supply, we would consider it.
Okay, yes, thank you. And I'm sure people can use this, the extra information for your coaching, so and then they can review and watch later and they share with other clubs and districts. So thank you again. The next question is dredging or cleanup over sewage open canals permitted as a global grant project. This will involve actually usage of heavy equipment like backhoe or trucks to remove dirt out. So the budget will be include heavy equipment purchase and things like that. So what do you think about this sewage cleanup project?
This is really a very interesting project type that I'm really happy that whoever submitted this, that you brought it to the table. So doing any sort of cleanup of open sewage canals is definitely would be eligible for a water sanitation and hygiene grant. However, we have to think about a lot of things to make sure that not only is this eligible, but it's quality and sustainable. So some of the things that we really need to look at is, first of all, we need to conduct a community assessment. We always want to start there of why, well, the things that I would be looking at is the surrounding community, and then also the government. What type of initiatives were already about to happen or are happening regarding the dredging and cleanup of the sewage open canals. The second thing would be an environmental assessment, because these open canals are technically waterways. They just have become what we call sewage open canals because people have been open defecating. We have a lot of open sewage emptying into these canals. We have solid waste being thrown away and drainage going into these canals. So unfortunately, what used to be a safe water supply is no longer safe. So we need to think about the environmental aspect of these canals. And I would encourage an environmental assessment to be a part of that community assessment. And then just to stress once again is that quality and sustainability is really pertinent. So the more people that are going to be involved is going to make the project more sustainable for the long term. And what I mean by that is, for example, the Department of Health, Department of Environment, the local municipality should all be involved in this effort and committed to the ongoing maintenance and upkeep. We don't want to end up in another situation where 5 years from now, or even 1 year later, the same canal gets filled up with sewage or solid waste from the surrounding communities because people haven't changed their habits or behaviors. So those are all sorts of things that we need you to be thinking about rather than just a one-time cleanup. We want to think about how can we maintain this like a clean state of these open canals after the initial cleanup. And that's what you would need to present in your global grant.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay, next question this is an interesting question too. So club would like to mobilize a resident along a creek area to clean the creek and then plant a mosquito repellent plant like eucalyptus to prevent a breeding site for dengue fever, dengue carrying mosquitoes. What would be the key points in this project?
This is a really interesting idea. So as you can see here, we have 3 areas of focus that this project would overlap with. So we have disease prevention and treatment, which you're ultimately looking to decrease the breeding sites for dengue causing mosquitoes, which usually is around stagnant water pools. You have water sanitation and hygiene, and we can talk about why that is in just one moment. And of course, environment, because you're introducing new plants to act as a repellent for the dengue. Well, the first thing before we start talking about what the key points of this project would be, the first thing I would ask, or as a reviewer of this application, is did the clubs determine what the root cause was that led to this creek becoming a major breeding site for dengue carrying mosquito? So in other words, what is the ecological condition of the creek? And what is the principal reason that it is polluted and stagnant? So for example, is the water stagnant in this creek because this water canal is being utilized as solid waste dump site, where refuge, plastic bags and bottles, etc., are all starting to accumulate and thus trapping water? Is there issues with how water is being utilized upstream at the point of usage? So if there's active activity on the upstream end, you're going to see a substantial decrease in the flow of water downstream from an agricultural activity or industry. It all depends. So there's a lot of reasons of why the water can be stagnant within a stream. And the first thing we would ask is, why is that? And Rotarians, to do that, would really need to do an environmental assessment. We would encourage that along with their community assessment. The third thing is, we really like to hear in that assessment, once again, it goes back to human behavior, right? What is the role of human behavior in the reason of why the stream is stagnant to begin with? Is it because there's not a solid waste management system along the communities, so people have no choice but are throwing their human waste and solid waste into the canal? Is there mismanagement of water sources in general, upstream versus downstream? So we really need to take a good look at why is that stream becoming stagnant. And you see here I put in red, this is just really, really important, is you need to determine what the root cause is, because unless we determine what the root cause is, we're just putting a temporary fix to the problem. And in this case, the temporary fix could be the planting of the eucalyptus plant along the creek. It can help for a short period of time, but it's still going to remain a creek where it's going to be polluted by solid waste. It's still going to be raining. It's still going to be collecting water supply, and pooling of water is still going to happen. So there's only so much that those plants are going to actually help. So I would say that this would definitely is most likely a water sanitation and hygiene project, because the reason for the root cause is actually due to solid waste management or water resource management issues. So I think I have one more slide here. So let's pretend that you come back to us and you show us about how, oh, you know, Erica, this is actually true. There is a big solid waste management problem. There also is mismanagement of the water. So there's a lot of things we need to talk about, and we decided that we're going to work with the local government to address those issues. Well, that's great. So now we need to think about, in addition to this mosquito repellent plant that you would want to plant along the shorelines, what is the solid waste management project that you're proposing? How is the government going to be involved? Because they should absolutely be involved in this. And what is their commitment for the long term? What sort of training and education are you going to do with the communities that live around this canal to help them decide or think twice about actually utilizing this source of water as essentially a toilet or even a waste disposal area? Third on the list you see here is the financial management plan. So we will look for all our grants to make sure we have a financial management plan where you're looking at the costs to help maintain such a project for 1, 5, and 10 years. There's going to be management for this. We need to make sure that the stream is going to be flowing and consistently over time, and that costs money. So you do need to sit down with local government officials to really list out those costs and think about, well, where's the revenue going to come in to make sure that we have people that are going to be operating and maintaining this. And that leads into the final point here, is the maintenance plan. Even with ecological projects such as this, even though they're water and sanitation, always have some element of maintenance that we need to do. We need to assist Mother Nature when we've put so much stresses on it, almost destroying it. We need to assist Mother Nature to basically help it recover. And that means that we need to be making sure that these plants are appropriately placed in the right spots. We need to make sure that we have a clear flow of water in the area, so there's no stagnating pools or any of that sort of thing. There's a lot of ecological maintenance that we need to consider. And that all comes with the costs, at least at the beginning. And those are the things we really need to be considering for this project.
Okay, yes, sounds good. Thank you so much. I think this will be the last question. So I often get this, why is the hygiene training for the students and the teachers important for WASH projects in schools? It's just a hand washing station. It's very simple. You just have setting up the brand new toilet. Looks nice, right? Like that's all we want to do. Hygiene education, I'm sure school doing it, no problem. Right? What's the solution, Erica?
Yeah, well, I think the first thing I would like to say is look at the COVID-19 pandemic. What has it really highlighted to us? It's highlighted to us is that we are imperfect human beings and that our behavior is not always perfect. And so when it comes to things that would keep us even safe, like basic hand washing after we go to the bathroom, hand washing before we work with food or prepare food, hand washing after we change a young baby's diaper, those sorts of things, you would be surprised that many of us will neglect or do not do it consistently. And it's those 1 or 2 times that we do not wash our hands and put our hands to our mouth or shake hands with another person that we end up having a possibility of passing along diseases. And COVID-19 is one of those that has really amplified the importance of hand washing and maintaining hygiene with each other. We talk about wearing these face masks as an important part of our hygienic responsibility to one another. Well, hand washing is as well. And so when we think about, well, why do we need to do hand wash or at least hygiene training in schools with simple infrastructure? The reason why is that infrastructure is only as good as the humans that are using it. So in other words, you can have a perfectly beautiful hand washing station where the water is running out of it and soap is present. But unless the people are utilizing it at proper times in the day, it does no good. And we see that time and time again, even for solid waste management, which is part of WASH. If you have a dirty environment around you, but a beautiful hand washing station in the middle of a school, but lots of waste around the school environment, is that a hygienic environment? No. Is it not hygienic because you don't have a hand washing station? No. The reason being is because humans, you and I, haven't been taking care of the environment. Our behaviors were never changed. And for that reason, it's really important to do training. I do want to just stress one other thing, is that in schools, we really aim hygiene training at schools. And the Philippine government has really instituted a fantastic WASH in schools training program. And they've outlined a dental hygiene, hand washing in there, and even menstrual hygiene management as part of the standard that they want all schools to be abiding by. But studies have shown, when we look at Philippine schools, is that we still have a major gap in learning and implementation for hygiene training. So to assume that a school has hygiene training and is implementing it is a wrong assumption to make. It actually does a lot of good. If you're going to be working in a school, one of the key people to be talking to are teachers, of whether they are implementing the hygiene training program, if they are aware of what that is, how are they doing it, how often are they doing it, and do they think it's effective? And they'll be honest with you. They often will say, you know, it's not very effective. We don't have the resources nor the time because we have so much to teach. It would be better if I had the skill sets or knowledge of how to integrate it within my curriculum so I can save time. So these are that's the responsibility as you, as the donor, as the Rotarian, the civic society member, to really be talking with teachers to find out what their true needs are. Because they're the ones that are going to sustain this hygiene training in the school and make sure it's implemented for students. We don't like to see training that is one-time training for students, because once those students have grown up and moved on, they take all that training with them and knowledge with them. And then we're back to square zero in the school. So the teachers will maintain the consistency and assurance that that training is going to continue cohort after cohort of students.
Okay, yes, thank you so much. I think this is the last question, so I will stop sharing that. Okay, so I'm pretty sure people now realize that, wow, Erica is a real expert. And my recommendation is yes. So yeah, when you are, your club or districts are thinking about doing a WASH related, these questions is amazing, right? It's so many different project types. Is good, but whenever you have any project ideas and you have like draft application, please send it to me so that I can discuss it with Erica. I know, I mean, I'm not the water expert. Whenever I talk to Erica, I learn so much from you. I feel like I'm your student in your the master's program. I love to learn more from that. And whenever I talk to Erica, I just learn again and again and realize that, wow, instead of just like looking at a short-term temporary solution, why, even though it's challenging, I know it's challenging, but why is it important to see more like long-term and then try to think about more holistic, comprehensive, the design, the project design building? Why is it crucial? Because like you said, that our donations and our resources, time and energy and money and everything, we don't want to just waste it and is gone in next 6 months and 1 year. So yes, just the project sustainability, success rate, water security, everything depends on from the very beginning stage, like how well designed the project is and how well the project idea is made. So in that way, I really appreciate that all your coaching and teaching and everything. And I'm sure, I mean, you know, you have a way more resources and tips and advice. So maybe later on we can prepare another the wash oriented training session.
Mhm.
We can just record this like this and just put it on YouTube so people can actually take a class with you and learn
Yeah.
from you. I think that they'll be great. So yes, looking forward to that. So I'm sure people like, okay, how can we contact Erica? I love to get her opinions and ideas and make sure our new project type will be eligible. So what's the best way for them to contact you?
You can either reach out through Annie. You know, Annie and I work very closely together, or you can directly contact me at Erica, which is ERICA period Gwynn, GWYNN at Rotary.org. And just to reiterate some of the things that Annie said is, what a wonderful opportunity that she's been able to really put this together. And I really am excited to be reaching out to those in the Philippines. We hope to visit you guys in person when this is all over. And we see such potential in the Philippines, specifically of having the ability to truly do high quality work and larger scale projects, which is where we want to see the foundation to go. So we're here to coach you. If you want more specific training and WASH, maybe related to financial management plan, how to actually do that with a government agency, or maybe it's just like, how do I think about WASH training? What do I need to think about? Let Annie know your specific needs, and we can plan something like this in the future if you're interested.
Thank you. Thank you. I know you're super busy, but just thank you so much for taking your time to join me for this virtual training. So I really appreciate that. So like you said, yes, someday after this COVID is gone, we can visit Philippines and then meet our members in person. And then we, you know, train together, learn together, and we build stronger projects together. So I'm looking forward to that too. Yes. So for that, clean hand washing, right?
That's right. Let's everybody take care, be healthy and hygienic, so we can teach, you know, students and be role models, obviously, for our communities. So.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you again, Erica. All right. Hope to see you in person soon. Take care.
Absolutely. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.